Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. And please let us know if you can hear music because then we're going to get a copyright strike, but that's okay. Today, I want to talk about tomorrow being a crazy day on eBay. And I want to address a couple things because people have been wondering, but want to wait till there's. I just want to go over. Oh, I guess we could address the controversy right out the gate. I did not come up with delist, relist. I never recommend it, and I don't think that I'm definitely not the originator, nor that I say that it doesn't work. We do have proof in our group that delist, relist or delist sell similar or ending and relisting is less effective than listing a brand new item, which is it's not me, that's just common sense. If you have 10 items and you delist, relist 10 items, or delist, sell similar, or end and sell, versus you just took that time and listed two more items, you have 12 items in your store instead of 10. 12 opportunities to make money instead of 10 makes more sense to me. So I've never in my history just ended an item and relist the same exact thing the same way. I always at least make an improvement. When you make an improvement, it's going to rank higher in the listing anyway, which would require, I mean, you don't even really need to relist it or end it. You could just modify the listing and have the correct item specifics, and it's going to rank differently. So that's because your listing is more accurate and it will have less of a bounce rate. So what that means, guys, is people come to your listing. If they immediately leave, that means there's something wrong with your listing, or the price is too high, or there's something that caused them to leave right away. And it's important to pay attention to your bounce rate. That's in your click through rate and your sell through rate. Most sellers have no idea what their click through rate is. They don't know what their sell through rate is, but they're worried about delist, relist, which has nothing to do with conversion rates and impressions. So it's a fancy way of saying, like, I'd rather have 11 things for sale than 10, right? I didn't come up with a delist relist. That was a comment I responded to, but for some reason people thought that was me. But I looked at the demographics of the people who watched that video, and most people who watched the video only watched the video for 45 seconds. So they didn't listen to any of it. They just read the title and they basically made their judgment based on the title, which makes sense. If you see people out there complaining about that delist, relist being a thing, that's because they don't know how to read and they don't listen because that video had nothing to do with that. It was like actual good advice on how to improve your store, not that I made up delist, relist. That's nonsense. Even the title doesn't even say that. I don't know how people came up with that. But hopefully, there's a lot of questions today from me. I want to also talk about last week, Simon visiting me from the UK. Simon and the group came all the way from the UK, not to visit me, but to visit San Francisco and made the trip over here to hang out with me for a couple of hours, which is very cool. And then on Friday, I had a meetup where I dusted off my listing shoes. And I haven't listed an item in over a year because I've been suspended on eBay for about 1 year. But I listed 35 items on Poshmark, and I wanted to show the true rawness of it. So everyone always thinks that, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. Well, when people came in, I had no plan for where to take the photos, hadn't looked at the form before at all. I currently can list on Poshmark, so my reseller closet on Poshmark is called Reseller Nirvana. You guys are welcome to check it out. I listed 35 items on Friday. It's been 2 days, 3 days now, and I've already sold six. And I'm thinking about what's in the title, which is a $1,400 profit per week in about 5 hours. That's my plan. So essentially, it took me about an hour and a half to list 35 items, and I'm going to focus on pre-owned shoes and pre-owned clothing in my Poshmark closet. I think those are the two strongest categories on that platform. And I was doing the math this morning with the morning crew. I think if I have 2,000 items in my Poshmark closet, I will sell and list 2,000, or I don't think it will take me that long, honestly, but I want to be conservative. 2,000 items in my Poshmark closet. I'll sell 10, list 10, $20 profit items per day. And I can do that in I was gonna do it in 1 day, but I think that we just started a new thing in our group called Shut Up and List, and so I want to hold 2 sessions a week where I host the Shut Up and List. You go there, list your items, go. That idea, Shut Up and List, came from Teresa Cox a long time ago. She had a T-shirt that said "Shut Up and List," and she said it at eBay Open or something. But that concept I have seen before, and in a thing called Shut Up and Write, where as a writer you go to a conference, there's no music, there's no internet, there's no refreshments. You just go there, write your book, and go home. So we want to create that for resellers since a lot of people have a problem with listing. I like to show up. I had 4 people watching me live list items, which is kind of interesting. So it took me This might be important to write down because I'm curious how you guys are doing. It took me 28 minutes to prep 36 shoes, and I wanted to do 30 shoes, but I ended up I just had more shoes, so I wanted to see like in case items didn't meet my criteria of $20 profit. I wanted to have 30 at least that met my goal, and then some extras in case they didn't. And of course, when you're taking photos, you'll see flaws that you didn't see before, and that actually happened. I had a pair of Hunter boots that had a slash on the bottom and a pair of New Balances that I had to end up throwing away because like this. Can you guys see that? I don't know if
Actually,
they
the
can see
lighting
it.
is not great. Do you mind if you move over there?
Yeah, let's move over here.
Okay. There's a hole.
Can you guys see? There's a
Yeah.
hole in the shoe. So as I was prepping the shoe, I didn't. Or I'm sorry. When I bought the shoe, I didn't notice this big gash in the shoe.
Right here.
So obviously I can't list this, so I'm gonna throw it away. So this is an L. My buy cost on shoes at the flea market is $4, and so our model in the group that we're basing off of Tech and Sports is $8 and the $30 plus shipping. And so I thought this would be a shoe that would be able to meet that criteria, but it has a hole gashed in it. And my buy cost for shoes is actually $4. So I guess if half the shoes I buy suck, I'll still meet that $8 threshold. But that's the idea: is $8 in the 30 to list. I want to list 10 a day, 7 days a week, but I only want to work ideally only 1 day a week, but it looks like I'm going to break it up into two sessions of 2 hours to list 35 items. I did that with 4 people watching me, so it took 28 minutes to clean the shoes. It took 31 minutes to take 35 sets of photographs, all different shoes, and then it took me 41 minutes to list 35 items. So, kind of want to see where people are at in the chat. Every single item was different and unique. There were no replenishables. None of them had more than one, all in one category. So come at me. I have some questions, some answers. And I just found this in the pile earlier, so I just thought it would be fun to wear.
They like your coat.
You like awesome. Thank you. It is a women's coat for sure. So I know it's a Susan Graver shirt or coat from QVC.
Girl on Fire is asking, what video are we talking about so I can find it?
So we haven't made it into a video yet, but I'm gonna have Christine film me doing it. So
No, the D-list, relist, I think.
last week I put addressing the D-list, relist,
Shadow ban.
shadow ban.
Yeah.
So
Addressing the eBay D-list, relist, shadow ban.
I didn't say that eBay shadow bans you for D-list, relist. I didn't say that. Somebody said that in one of
Addressing
my.
it, yeah.
I'm addressing a comment that somebody said that. I don't even care about that concept because D-list, relist, and it's a hot take here. And I don't want. This might actually get me in trouble, but like, it's not important. Like your items that you list are important. Your listing habits important. Your schedule's important. Your sourcing routes important. Delist relist is not important. And if you delist and relist and trick eBay into giving you a new item number, and this 20 bajillion dollar company, Fortune 100 company, doesn't know the difference, that's silly to think that they don't know it's the same item. Every single one of your photographs is stamped inside of eBay as a unique file, and when you re-upload the exact same photograph, it knows what it is. In fact, to the point where if you guys steal people's photos that have copyright infringement on the photo, like for example KitchenAid, it'll automatically trigger a copyright infringement and your listing will be taken down on certain listings, right? We're on YouTube right now. This video might be copyright struck because there's music in the background, right? YouTube's algorithm can pick up that there's music here that doesn't belong to me. If you post a picture and it doesn't belong to you, eBay will know. If you post a picture that's the exact same as the one before, they also know. When the duplicate listing scanner will let you know if you have more than one listing that's the same. But if you're relisting the same exact item or delist, sell similar, or whatever you're doing, eBay's algorithm knows it's the same item. They're not going to give you the same traffic. There's people in our group who've done it, and it shows about 20% of the same traffic. So it does work, but 20% is good as a new item. And if you just use common sense, why wouldn't you just list another item instead of fixing items that you shouldn't have need to fix in the first place? Like all the items I listed on Poshmark last week, I don't have to go back and do them again. I just put the information in accurately the first time, and unless I made a mistake, in that scenario, I need to correct the mistake. And if you did that on eBay, it would be the same. If you made a mistake and corrected it, you don't need the delist relist. So most people have stores full of items that are incorrect.
Ian says, hey, I'm a hat seller on
Yep.
eBay with about 2,300 listed and 1,500 sold. I list 30 a day with $5 to $8 average profit on the
Yep.
low side. What do you think is a good number of listings to work up to? I would like to make 2,000 a week, and I'm probably at 600 to $800.
That's a really great question. So I'm gonna. Who's this?
Ian,
Ian. Okay. So every Monday morning now in the group, we are addressing three numbers. This is really important. The first number is your goal. So for you, it's $2,000 per week, right? And the amount listed, he's listing 30 a day.
yes.
Okay. So guys, this is really important. This is what we do every single Monday. So Ian's goal is $2,000 profit per week, and he's listing 210 hats per week. It's 30 per day. And then how many actually sold? That's the question that we're keeping track of. So let's say he's at 6 to 8. So 7 sold, 49 sold, 210 listed. Now this is a bit scary for me because for me he might be growing a bit too fast because
Well,
he's
he has $5 to $8 average profit.
yeah.
He hasn't said how much
How many
sold
he sold?
per week.
Okay, we need to figure out how many hats you sell per week.
Yeah.
But the basic, if it's $5 to $8 profit per hat, what I would do is round down just to be more conservative. So you would need to sell 400 hats per week under your model to reach 2,000 safely. Hopefully, you average higher than $5, and it's easier. But I always take the lower number. So, for example, I want my average sale price in my auctions to be $60. I want it to be 60, but all my numbers are based on 30. That way I can just make sure that all the items I'm buying are well under the number I'm looking for. So let's say you're looking for $5 profit. You need to sell 400. So your goal is to sell 400 hats per week times $5 profit to earn that 2,000. So you would need to list at least 75 a day to reach that goal. And that's a bit challenging. A lot of people would say, I don't want to list 75 hats a day. Let me back up a little bit and go for that, let's say $8 minimum profit hat. That would change it up a lot because 8 is only 40. Let's see, 2,000 divided by 8 is, I'm trying to like, 250 hats is like 35 a day. So, like, instead of 70 a day, maybe you're listing 40 a day, a little bit less. And that's easier. Since you're already listing 30 a day, 40 a day doesn't seem that bad. But I would require you to not pick up any hats that are less than $8 profit. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of work. So you got to pick up only hats that are over $8 profit to stick to that number, which is just higher than where you are. Or you could even say, this number is even easier. Keep your 30 habit, right? And just only source hats that are $10 profit. Then you will have the amount. So it's really easy to list low profit items. It's really difficult to list high profit items. And I have a hot take here. Items that are $20 profit, I actually don't think it matters what platform you sell them on. They are desirable. So like Poshmark, Mercari, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, whatever platform you pick, if you're actually going to earn a $20 profit on the item, it means people want it. It's desirable. It's more rare. And I think a lot of people get confused because I say 90% of items on eBay sell for under $30. Of course, do you want to be as a small seller competing with 75 million people listing, or do you want to compete with like just a few thousand people who sell the things that are over $30? So it's hard in the beginning, but in our group, it's kind of insane. People are posting basically $20 profits. That's what they're focusing on. So I think that's a really realistic number to shoot for.
Ashley has a question.
Yep.
I'm thinking about just focusing on Poshmark live shows.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? Is it sustainable, or would you recommend regular listing and live shows?
I don't know. That's a good question, Ashley. On the $35, I'm sorry, on Poshmark, all of my items for the most part are earning me an average of $20 profit or more. That's a lot. That's a fixed price, right? I don't have to have any streaming. I don't have to hype myself up. It's the live streaming format is great. We're doing great, but the it is different. It's a different kind of work. If you are the one streaming nonstop every single week, it can get exhausting. And in the group, there's a bunch of people experimenting with both, like one show per week live, daily listing habit, or 2 shows per week, daily listing habit. Or here, the workers do 4 shows a week, no listings. So depends on the format. I do think live auctions are forever. It's a different kind of way of buying, And as long as you have great items, you will be able to do okay. But if you don't have great items, I think live auction might be worse than fixed price, personally, because like you won't have a lot of people in the chat, and you won't get a lot for your items. So it's just like a lot of work to. For me, it's a waste of time if we list an item and it doesn't sell. That's why all my items start at $1. And I just saw on a Whatnot forum that the way to not make money is to start everything at $1. I don't know if that's true. I think that you can have a high starting bid, but that requires an insanely good item. So if you focus on insanely good items, doesn't matter how you do it. Start at $1 or start at 20, it's still going to do fine.
Can I check your mic for a second?
Yep.
They're saying that audio is cutting out, but it looks like it's okay. It might be internet, but yeah, because I'm on the Wi-Fi right now.
Okay, hopefully it's okay. How about is the audio
Are
cutting
they
out?
on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, but it should be fine. Guys, is the audio and the video? Because it would be the audio and the video if it's the internet.
Oh, Allison says audio is fine on my end after refreshing the page.
Okay, you guys might have to refresh the page.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know. Okay, sorry about that if it's cutting out. Okay. Let's see. Question from Brady. Chris, my niche is clothing. When
Yep.
talking about having similar items in your store for better traffic, should I list sports teams' shirts and jerseys as clothing instead of sports memorabilia for more?
It depends. So depends on how your buyer searches. If it's a sports fan, they're probably going to search either. But there are going to be people who only search one or the other. So it depends on the team, it depends on the sport, depends on the clothing garment. And your job is to figure out which categories match your prospective buyers more. And there's some secret ways of figuring out which one is more. But you could also just figure it out manually. But in the group, we do talk about some different ways to segment where your buyers might be. And that sounds really obvious, but like people are so worried about D-list sell similar, they don't think about their customer. Like if you just spent a few minutes thinking about what your customer's thinking about, makes it a lot easier. Oh, back to Ashley. Ashley, I'm confused myself because you make so much more money fixed price than live auction that, like, I'm hoping for $5 to $10 profit live auction for the most part, or even $1 sometimes per item on a lot. If a lot's 10, then I'll make 10. If a lot's 20, I'll make 20. But the fixed price is 20 times less work. Everything is $20 profit. So it's interesting as a solo operation.
Richard says, Hi, Chris. I got my first package not delivered, but tracking says it did. Uploaded the tracking number. What should I do next?
If it shows delivered, then you're covered by seller protection and your work is done. Just let the customer know. Please check with your post office carrier. You could be nice and help them file the claim if you want, but it's you've done your job if it's been delivered to the address and the tracking shows delivered.
Hector says, I'm a woodworker. What advice do you have for selling woodwork on eBay and other sites?
I think you should combine your woodwork with things that people need. For example, I bought a bunch of wood adapters from my table that help me organize things that already exist. For example, if I was a woodworker, I might make a paper tray for a Rollo printer. Rollo printers are very popular. The labels will jam if they don't enter the Rollo perfectly straight. So if that would be solved with a paper tray. You could do paper tray works with Rollo, works with Dymo, and now collect the works with works for compatible with keyword to help it sell. But just straight woodworking is very hard to sell unless you are a famous artist or like a known person or it's a known wood. You need the keywords to help you sell the item. So keywords. You want to figure out what people are looking for.
And some people are suggesting Etsy, perhaps?
Etsy can be great too. We bought some expensive wood stuff like a cake topper for our wedding. It was like $20 for like 50 cents of wood. I'm assuming.
Kings is asking, does Chris have his eBay account back?
No, not yet. I am gonna manifest it to myself this summer. I think if I keep an open mind and an open heart, it will come back to me this summer. And then I think that my ideal eBay store will be 10 a day. I know in the group we talk about 13 times 20 is six figures, but I like 10. 10 a day, $20 profit. Do it at home in my garage. Um, no stress, 70K. They say you should be able to be happy if you make 70K. So that amount is good enough for me. No stress. Um, I would like to do 70 on one day and schedule the rest out. So just work one day a week, shipping customer service the other six.
Dylan says, how long should I be meeting the sell-through rate before upping two listings like you've been mentioning?
When your draft bank hits 2 weeks. So when your draft bank hits 2 weeks, you'll naturally have too many good things and you'll just increase your goal accordingly. Supply and space are big. Supply, space, sell through. Man, I should make a 3S's video. I might write that down.
Yeah.
Supply, space, and sell through rate. So once you have supply locked in, you know what you're doing, so your sell through rate's on point, and then your space is on point to grow. Oh yeah, I want to go back to my live event real quick. Guys, people were saying, "Oh, it looks like a mess and it was a cluster during your live event." I know that, and I'm hopefully people understand that. The first day you do something, it's a mess, right? I plan on doing this event every single first Friday forever. So, I already put the event on my website dailyrefinement.com for next month. I'm just going to do 10 people again on a Friday. Next month when I do the event, it's going to look totally different because I didn't do anything for a year, so of course everything was really messy. Next month's going to be a little bit more dialed in. Next month a little bit more dialed in. Next month a little more dialed in. That's the topic of today's video. Tomorrow's going to be huge on eBay because you're going to be able to use all the things you learned today tomorrow. So it's huge. Like while I was doing this process, I thought of so many different things. Like me stuffing the shoes with craft paper. I like that look because the shoes are all stuffed. They all have a great shape, and they're gonna sell much better.
I am the real Murph says, what if someone is maxed out in space and just delists and relists so they can stay consistent on listing without having to add 5 to 10 new items in a maxed out space?
Then you'll get 20% the traffic of our research. So it's better than nothing, right? But that's not how we run this. That's not how I live. I'm not looking for better than nothing. I'm looking for top 10%. So I want everyone in the group listening to be top 10% in what they do. If you don't have enough space, you have a sell through problem, or you either have a sell through problem, a supply problem, or space sell through, or oh, thank you, Rachel. Space sell through or supply. So what I would do is, if I had that problem, I would have a crazy sale, because I can't imagine like, oh, I'm out of space, so I'm not gonna list new items, and I'm just going. Okay, so if you had a brick and mortar, right? This is the joke. I texted Tech. Did you delist sell similar your entire store? They said yes. I took everything out of my store into the parking lot and I brought it all back in. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes, there would be people in the parking lot being like, "Are they going out of business, or did they just restock the whole store today? Maybe I'll walk in there." But like, what if you just put, "We have new items every day" on the door? That's easier, in my opinion. Like you wouldn't. Why would you take everything out in the parking lot and put it back in? Would it work? I guess better than doing nothing. But why not just put new stuff in your store? I know that that's exactly the question that people have. Like, how do I make my store get better sales without doing anything? Like, without stocking new stuff? And it's just, I don't want to call it lazy, but it's just like, all I think about is putting new, interesting stuff in my store. I've never even considered today I'm not going to put stuff in my store. It's like you're a reseller. Resellers are supposed to stock stuff into their store, not sell the same stuff over and over again. Maybe I'm crazy.
Kelly has a nice comment.
Yep.
She says, if you are not in the Daily Refinement group, I highly recommend it. I was not sure at first, but I have only been a member for a week, and Chris has taught me so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
That's
That's
great.
very nice.
James has a question. Can you discuss further on your idea of segmenting your listings by value and time periods? For example, silver, gold, and platinum.
I want all items to sell within 90 days. So an item could be good, but long tail, and I'm just gonna leave it there. I just don't. I'm not a collector. I don't want all the things. I want a cute small store that makes $1,400 a week profit in a one car garage. This is a 15 by 15 room. It has around it has a few jeans left in there, which I should sell this week. I'm still looking for the right person to buy my 500 pairs every single week. I've sold a couple of sample boxes for people to test, but once I find the right person that can process 500 jeans every single week, I'll just send all my jeans to that person. But this will be empty soon. I want this store in here to have zero long tail items. I don't care about long tail. I want $1,400 a week in a one car garage. I don't want items that take a year to sell or 2 years to sell. Buy for $1 and sell for 500. I don't want to wait 5 years for it to sell. I want just a cute, fast moving store.
Jane says, if you are top rated plus
Yep.
and customer returns the item due to fit even though the measurements were in the listing,
Yep.
do you have to give them the original shipping back?
It depends. Like I usually do give them the original shipping back, but if it's a buyer's remorse, you don't have to. So if you provide measurements and you're not obligated to return the original shipping, it just depends. Like for me, if it's a person buying a lot from me and a lot of repeat customers, I don't mind as much. But it depends. Like maybe if it's a single customer or you just have a policy that no matter what, we do not return original shipping, or no matter what, we return original shipping. It depends on your. It's not going to make or break your business because returns are only 1%. So it's just up to you. I would recommend depending on the customer.
Luft says, what is a desired sell-through rate for books? I feel like it's more difficult to turn over in 90 days compared to clothing and shoes.
I think what we determined is a year. So like 8% sell through rate for books. Books is different. Like most people who sell books have 10,000 books minimum up to 250,000. We just did Johnny B's goal in the morning call, and he wants to make $250,000 a year selling books, and he needs like 400,000 books in his store, which sounds crazy, but there are lots of bookstores, including the largest sellers that are in our group, with 600,000 plus listings, all books to meet that goal. And honestly, they make most of their money on the combined book sales. When people buy 10, 20, 30 books, they save a lot on media mail.
Raina says, hello, question. How important is it to fill out all the item descriptions eBay asks you to fill out? Some are very irrelevant.
Only the ones that are relevant. Yeah,
So it's not
it's only important if you
yeah.
want to sell your item. So when people are looking for the item specifics and they click in one that is relevant and yours doesn't have it, then it doesn't matter. The irrelevant ones don't matter. So the ones that do matter, they need to be filled out correctly.
Kamal
100%. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The most important.
Kamal says, I sell everything. So far, I sold 108 and have 188 listed in about a month and a half. How do I source cheap boxes and tend to use more FedEx on boxes? It's way cheaper than USPS.
I guess you could go to a retail store. You could do dumpster diving, number one. You can do a retail store and ask. So, for example, shoe stores have lots of great boxes. So, like a DSW, all their boxes are going to come corrugated into smaller boxes. So, a box will have 6 pairs of shoes in it or pairs of shoes in it. And shoes are relatively heavy, so the boxes are in really good condition. You could do that, or you could go to Home Depot. Home Depot, Walmart have very affordable boxes. Or if you need boxes overnight, I would order Uline boxes. But you have to count your time in going to get them. So personally, if I'm ordering a large amount, I might do something like Uline. If I'm ordering a small amount, Home Depot.
Mila says, hi, Chris. I only work within women's clothing. because I want to learn as much as I can before trying other categories.
Yep.
I timed my process and I only list 5 items an hour. I take a lot of time researching.
Yep.
Which group should I join in Patreon to be part of the women clothing calls?
The women's clothing call are at the $35 level. I would say that women's clothing is a little bit more complicated than men's. You should be at comfortably 20 an hour. 20 an hour is a really safe place to be with women's clothing, including prepping and putting the item away. 5 an hour is not terrible. I consider 6 an hour the lowest amount that is acceptable. If you're at 6 an hour and you're full time, there's nothing wrong with that. Like as long as you source quality items, you'll be fine. You don't need to list a lot of quantity to make a lot because we're talking about my eventual goal when I get my eBay store back to is 10. So even if I was only listing 5 an hour, it would be 2 hours. That's not terrible. And that's what Tech and Sports last week, his hot take was. Maybe it wasn't in the part on YouTube, but he said, if you're gonna really only buy things over $20, then you could do an everything seller. You could be an everything seller, and it would be not as terrible because you only have 10, 20 items to sell a day. But it is still difficult though because you need different boxes, different knowledge, and your research is going to be really long. When I started listing the shoes on Friday, it was interesting. In the beginning, I didn't have a format for how I wanted to do the titles, item specifics. I didn't have a way I was doing it, so it was taking me like maybe about 2 minutes per listing. By the end, I was under a minute every single listing because I already had a format, right? And the photos is the same thing. As I was doing the photos, I got a little bit more familiar with the order I was taking the photos, and they got much faster towards the end. So I think I can do 70 sets of photos for shoes in 1 hour and 70 listings in 1 hour. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to prep 70 shoes. I'm going to guess 2 hours. So 2 hours to prep, 1 hour to photo, 1 hour to list. And I need to figure out a shoe system today for storage. So if you guys have any ideas, I might just use my original OG box and shelf system. I have all the shelves at my house, so just bring them back here and then set that up again. Unless you guys have a different idea. I really want rolling racks, but all the rolling racks I have seen, people have told me that they crash and collapse and break and fall down, and so I don't really want that. Because 150 shoes falling on you is not a good day.
Amanda says, "Hi, Chris. I am a portrait artist and was wondering if you think it's worth a try to sell some of my pieces on eBay. I am by no means a well-known artist, by the way. Thank you."
Is it against rules to paint famous people?
Maybe technically.
Yeah, because the likeness
Yeah.
is
Technically,
copyrighted.
they own their image.
People own their image. There are some exceptions to that, like presidents don't own their image. You can make Donald Trump stuff, and I think public figures are not subject to that. But like Paris Hilton or a celebrity probably is. You own your own likeness and your own identity. So I would say if you're a portrait artist, caricatures sound like something you could play with. But again, I don't understand the copyright law. Otherwise, it's really hard because you can't just paint random people. You need that keyword. It's the same as the woodworker earlier. You need that keyword.
Connor says, "Question for a new fan. How did you lose your eBay account?"
Lost my eBay account because I sold around $2 million worth of sneakers without proper invoices. So I have invoices. Now I have proper invoices. So like all the shoes that I have now say from this brand, this is how many, this is how much I paid. They're an authorized distributor. If I got back on eBay and sold the shoes that I'm selling now, I would not be suspended. But buying huge collections of expensive shoes from friends, only making a 10. I was just on a podcast and somebody asked me how much margin I make on those, about 10%. So the 10% margin only works if there's no sneaker fees. So you guys if you can put two and two together, you understand I only was able to make a profit because there was no sneaker fees. When the sneaker promotion ended, I stopped selling sneakers in November. And I actually got a special rate price from eBay, which I'm not going to talk about because it's an NDA, but I got an offer from eBay to continue selling shoes at a lower rate of fees, and I still couldn't find them because it's not like you can find these kinds of shoes all the time. I stopped selling the shoes in November. 5 months went by, got suspended by managed payments. When they were reviewing the previous year, they noticed an unusual spike in transactions. They did not accept my invoices. I got suspended. So the managed payments team on eBay suspended me. So I'm wondering one day I will get back. That was a very unusual meeting. Talked about it in that podcast as well. The meeting was at 8:55 in the morning. So I'm guessing most lawyers work 9 to 5. So mine was just like this extracurricular meeting, and they basically said, "You are banned from our platform. Just want to remind you that it was not the used clothing that you sold, but the shoes that got you suspended. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day." And then a bunch of people have told me that any suspension can be reversed. So just have to find the right person.
There's a question saying, why the hate against Sell Similar?
I don't have any hate towards Sell Similar. I just think there's a better use of your time. And I think people are confused. The person put in the comment, delist relist no longer works. Now you have to do it right the first time. That's what the comment says. Okay? And I've been saying, why not just skip that and just do it right the first time? Don't need the delist relist. Don't need the delist sell similar. Don't need to do that because you already did it right the first time. So your item is going to sell anyway. The items that I have on Poshmark, this is a hot take too. I don't think I need to share them for them to sell because people will just search for on cloud size 9 and I'll have one, and even though it hasn't been shared, I have it and they'll be able to buy it. So it's just interesting, like if you have items that people are looking for, they're going to find it anyway. I have no hate towards D-list relist. I find it very odd that there are some influencers making videos about that when I was talking about somebody else. So it's odd. People really can't read or listen. I find it surprising. Are people on YouTube just watching the first 10 seconds of every video? Because like the video is about what to do instead. That's more useful. But I don't know. I think somebody said it was just a shill from Skillshare because they're the sponsor of the video. Bro, they've got busier things to worry about. Like they sponsor videos. They don't care what the topic's about. Like that would be some 4D chess if Skillshare was behind it.
The salesman says, if I charge $9.99 for shipping and the label costs $14.99, should I record it as a $5 loss for tax purposes, or is that completely on me?
It's not related. So for taxes, they just count how much money goes in your bank account. So let's say you sold it for $20 plus $9.99 shipping. That's $30 in, right? You're going to deduct whatever the shipping cost is out of that. It doesn't matter what you charge the customer. It has nothing to do. The taxes is just you received 30. How much did you pay for shipping? So if you consider it like a loss, meaning like you charged the customer 9 and you paid $14.99, the $5 is just deducted from your total profit. So it is kind of a loss if you look at it that way, but that's not how the IRS charges you tax. They're just going to count 30 revenue in minus how much you paid for shipping, whatever's left, minus your cost of goods and the other expenses is what you pay taxes on.
Candace says, I've been selling as a hobby for years. I'm
Yep.
trying to dial in my niche, and I have over 500 items in my eBay store now. How would you scale down the store with items that aren't in those categories?
I might just go $1 free shipping whole store, sell the whole thing. I am not like, I made a mistake on one of the shoes that I sold. I bought it and I didn't know it didn't have an insole. Okay, so this is a pair of Merrell boots that should sell for around $40, and it didn't have an insole, so I lowered the price to $19. Someone offered 16, I accepted it. So my mistake, I wouldn't get the amount that I'm looking for on it. I want to get it out. I want my store to only have the good stuff in it. When you make a mistake, if you have 500 items that suck, perfectly fine. Just discount it heavily to the point where literally you're just getting a unit under your belt, and I want those 400 positive or 500 positive transactions under my belt. I have no shame in listing everything in my store for $1 free shipping to learn that lesson, get everything sold, start over, and that's, I think you get like 50 cents on a dollar, and you could go $1 plus shipping, so you don't lose money on the shipping. But for me, items that are not going to sell clog up your store. I don't want stuff in my store that sucks because it drags down everything else.
Anna says, on your video, how fast you should grow your resale
Yep.
business. List 2 items a day and sell 1 item a day for
Yep.
100 items in your store.
Yep.
My store has 0 items,
Yep.
so what items should I list a day? Or how many items should I list a day?
So it depends on how versed you are in selling. I'm going to start with 5 a day in my Poshmark closet. and then once I get to 3 a day or more, I'm gonna jump to 10, and then I'm just gonna stay at 10 forever. So I'm gonna start at 5 until I feel comfortable, then go to 10, and $70,000 is enough for me for my Poshmark closet. I don't need to make more than that. I'm happy with that. I think most people would be happy with 70K. 10 listings a day is very reasonable for me. I can have it in this room behind me. I'm thinking, just for illustration purposes, I might pay somebody $1,000 a week to run it. So I would make $400 a week for just owning a little Poshmark closet behind me. Somebody comes in, does all the work, and I would be fine with that. Just to show people you don't need a lot of space. You just need good items and a quality process. Also, if you guys want to give me some feedback on my closet, that'd be great. I'm a couple days into my Poshmark experiment, and people are saying that Poshmark slows down after a while, but I'm not sure I believe that. I feel like if you put in quality items, the sales won't slow down. But I'll see. I think what happens is you sell your good items first, all you're left with the bad items, then it's gonna get stuck. That's my opinion.
Jameson says, do you recommend any other box supplier outside of Uline?
No, I want some. Please help me find people that are not Uline. I used two other companies one time, both times they were late. And I was like, is this why Uline can charge so much? Nobody else can deliver boxes on time? I don't get it. Like, there's not even a clear number two. Actually, that's not true. For me, number two would be Amazon. You can buy boxes on Amazon for a reasonable price. Less than Uline, but more than your local box supplier.
Let's see, a question from Valerie.
Hmm.
Do you have a Patreon call for us resellers that work full time?
All of them are for people who work full time. I kind of work full time. When I'm adding up the math, I think I work two full time jobs, and I consider a newborn and a 2 year old another full time job. So it's designed for busy people because everything is recorded. So if you can't make the live call, you can go back and listen to it after the fact. So for me personally, like I'm driving to pick up my daughter from childcare every single evening call. I miss all of them. So I have to listen to them in the car or later. So it's useful to be able to go back, and those resources are all recorded for everybody.
5 Minutes Relax says, is it possible to maintain 3% sell-through rate? I am in the shoe category.
I think so. Right now, I have 3% sell through rate in the shoe category. It depends on the variety and the quality of the items going into the store. So you put the same kind of stuff in, your sell through rate's going to tank. So it's got to be equally interesting, variable stuff. And I think that 0.5% sell through rates are where you should shoot. So I want to sell 10, list 10. I'm going to aim for 2,000 shoes in the storage. So that being said, I'm also going to include some clothing because I don't know if I can find 70 good shoes per week. So I can definitely find 70 good shoes and clothes each week. So I'll focus on having a little bit of both. And I guess I'll have a little bit of every system. I'll have rack system, I'll have bin system, so people can see to demonstrate the different kinds of things you can do with this kind of space.
Another question. Chris, what are your thoughts on people selling replica goods?
Don't do that. It's illegal. I hope you rot in jail. I'm not a fan of replica anything. I just think don't be fake. Just sell the real thing, or sell something that you make. Replicas is garbage.
Sky in Sky says, has anyone entertained having warehouses at both East and West Coasts?
Tons of people do that. If you sell replenishables, you need to have ideally a warehouse in every state. That's why Uline can deliver every day. If you guys wondered how they can deliver next day, it's because they have a warehouse in every state. That's how they're able to do that.
I Love Hockey says, my account has been restricted for the last 2 weeks for ID verification. How long does it take for eBay to reinstate after they got your passport and driver's license?
Either they're getting your passport and driver's license so they can ban you forever, no matter what account you make, or it could be next day. So when they're requesting that information, either they're making a file on you. That oddly, that didn't even happen to me. So I got suspended without that. They already knew exactly who I was, and then they did not request my passport, driver's license when I first signed up day one, but when they request your passport, it's a little bit suspect. Like they're trying to make sure no matter what you change your account to in the future, they can find you. So if it's been 2 weeks, it's not looking good, but I would just keep appealing.
Scratching for Stacks says, Chris, when making an initial listing on eBay, do you advise to enter package details at that time or just turn on I don't know package details button and then enter the info later when shipping?
It's a great question. I would say you should do sell similar off of an item you already have that already has the shipping details in it. It's nice having the shipping details in it and then selling similar. One of the reasons why my Poshmark listings were under 1 minute each is because the shipping is standard. So it's nice to have it all standardized.
And
It,
that comes along with selling the same types of items.
that comes along with selling the same types of items.
Um, Carl says, I list 200 women's eBay clothing items a day and don't do any shipping, photos, measurements, or listing. Would you list 200 women's items a day if you didn't have to do any work?
No, no, I want to list 10 a day and know what I'm doing. The bulk model is, I mean, let's say it costs you $10 a listing for the item, the worker, the shipper, the building, all that stuff. That's $2,000 a day. That's ridiculously risky for not knowing what the item specifics are. That's very scary to me. So I only have two models that I like right now: slow and steady, 10, 20 a day, or bulk selling, which is what I'm doing on Whatnot right now, which is like liquidation, which is not scary to me because the buy cost is so low. It's not scary to me at all. If I were buying liquidation not direct from brand, it would suck. So I I'm gonna just, what is it called? I'm gonna date myself here for a second. I think I have the best two models now. Cherry picking the best items, 10 a day, right? Or buy directly from the brand at a price so cheap that I can wholesale it. So, like, let me ask the chat. I listed some clothes in my Poshmark closet. One sold for 59, one sold for 69, one sold for 79. My buy cost was like $10. If you guys are me, would you wholesale them? And what wholesale price would people buy? Because people have been buying them for 25 to $35 and then reselling them for 75 to 125. The bright colored ones are worth 125. Wholesale all 10,000 of them or sell them one by one and make 30 to $50 every single time. It's kind of a weird thing, but the thing is I bought at such a low price, I can't lose money and I have all of them, so there's no race to the bottom. I'm the person controlling the whole supply. So, it's the same thing with the Echo shoes I bought, and the same thing with the QVC that I bought. I bought all of it. So my wife was like, asking me over the weekend, like, it's a lot different when you have economy of scale on buying, and you don't have to buy from a third party. So like, when you buy from liquidation.com or bulk.com, they've already gone through the pallets. I'm getting raw stuff from the brand. It has not been gone through by anyone. I'm going through it. So these two models are very different, and I'm happy to share with you guys.
Wax Clothing Company says Royal Mail has cost me my top rated seller status for a while.
Oh no.
Keeps losing my items and it's so frustrating.
Apparently, people don't use Royal Mail. Simon came. Simon came from the UK and he got me these biscuits. So he does not use Royal Mail because he says it's rubbish. So I'm gonna have one. I don't think Royal Mail is reliable from what I hear. You should have some. They're really good.
Oh wow, it's like a giant.
Yeah, these biscuits are crazy. They're huge.
Let's see, question from Wild BTC. Chris, the buy for $8 and sell for $30, I'm having a really difficult time with. I'm finding items over a pound, and I'm finding that after eBay fees, ad fee, and $13 priority shipping, I can hardly profit.
That's exactly right. That's why Tech Sports focuses on items that ship first class. Also, you shouldn't be paying $13 for priority. I need to figure out how to use the flat rate mailers.
The Coca Room says, I need to go full force. Once joining your Patreon group, how soon can I get the guidance to start working on taking it from a mess to success? I sell women's/men's clothing on eBay and Poshmark.
One of the reasons why the eBay white papers is only available at the annual level is to slow people down because it's going to take at least a year to go from mess to success, maybe longer. It's not that easy. So many people come in with a huge mess. There's a long time to fix. It's not that easy.
I shouldn't have eaten the cookie.
Why not?
I need to ask questions.
Oh,
Bargain Hunter has a question.
yep.
Chris, do you message WhatsApp numbers or would that be a spam?
All spam. I will not message you on WhatsApp. I don't have any crypto advice to give you, except for don't take my crypto advice anyway. My crypto is actually it's on a rebound. It's been doing good lately, so I'm only at like a 50% loss now. So don't listen to me on crypto advice. I'm not on WhatsApp.
Um, the salesman says, any non-video game major media sellers in your group?
Any
Non-video game major media sellers.
definitely. So the media calls on Thursday night. We have a couple 8-figure media sellers in the group, not video game. But usually those people have access to video games anyway, from my experience. So huge, huge, huge media sellers in the group. It's on Thursday. It's on Wednesdays now.
Sir Mr. Jason says, I'm new here. Thank you for your content. How did you get started in this industry? And if you could do it again, what would you do different to start as a beginner?
I got started by selling Pokemon Go accounts, walking around San Francisco Pier. I thought I was going to be rich being a Pokemon trainer. That only lasted a week. So then I started watching people on YouTube. And unfortunately, I didn't catch anybody in the beginning 4 or 5 months who focused on high profit items on eBay. Everybody was just in one niche. Everybody was looking for high profit items everywhere. And that makes it a lot more difficult because you can't focus your attention to get good at anything. And then I made the moniker 10K on the Bay in 2017. February-ish is when I started my YouTube channel. At that time, I actually did meet Tech and Sports. He tried to give me some advice, and we did a podcast together in 2017, around 7 episodes, and those actually are in the Patreon still. But we got in a bit of an argument, and then we didn't talk for 4 years. So during that 4 years, I struggled through selling everything, and then in the last couple of years, I've really niched down, and my business is like gone from $20,000 to $40,000 a month to $150,000 to $200,000 per month since I niched down. So, and if I were to niche down even further, it would probably double again. So if I just chose one category, it would probably blow up. But right now, I'm enjoying my flea market connections, and I'm really liking it. I was actually going to wholesale all the shoes that I got, but I've been enjoying listing them. So wasn't too bad. I'm surprised I still got it because I didn't know how long 35 listings was going to take. 41 minutes is respectable considering I haven't listed in over a year. So I'm happy with that. On eBay, it's obviously going to take me a little bit longer, but I still don't think it would take me twice as long. So 35 listings, I still think would take me 2 hours or less to list. Oh, my advice for the beginner is 8 and a 30 only. Only sell items that are over $30 in the beginning, unless you're just going to sell it to sell it. Meaning, like, you want to learn how to sell something, so you sell it at a price where it moves quickly. No long tail in the beginning.
Lloyd says, can you show us how to ship shoes?
Yeah. So I ship shoes in the USPS shoebox. It looks like that. The shoes go in the box. The shoes go in the box like this, like that. This is how I ship shoes.
Or just show them so that they can see.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Like this. That's how I ship shoes.
Anna says, would you recommend to have 3 stores with one category in each store to get a better sell-through rate, or having 3 different categories in one single store?
Don't manage 3 different stores. That's way too hard. It's 3 different store fees, 3 different accounts to log into, 3 different browsers, one account, 3 categories.
Um, Chris SHO says, fast question. I know we want to list 5 per day,
Hmm.
but if I do that, I'm going to run out of my inventory. Would you suggest maybe 2 a day as I build up inventory because I'm brand new in the game?
Sure, you can do one a day. In the beginning, it's hard because you don't have anything. You don't have any store. You don't have any metrics, no momentum. So I don't necessarily stretch it out. In the very, very beginning, I just list all of it and look for more stuff. So, like, there's no point in developing systems when you only have like 20 things. Just list all 20 things and go look for more stuff. It's not going to hurt you. When I first started, I listed 10 things and then I had to wait because my listing limit was met. So I didn't list anything for like 4 days because I can't even list on eBay in the beginning because they limit you in the beginning. So you want to just list items that are going to sell immediately so you can re up that limit. And don't worry about listing daily, draft bank, all those kind of advanced things until you're like at 5 listings a day. In the beginning, just do what you can.
Rob says, is there a way to combine shipping for items that are auctioned but end on different days and not be late for eBay performance?
Probably not, because I recommend you ship daily. If you have a really long handling time, you could delay that, but I feel like it's not the best experience unless like you have auctions ending Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In that scenario, you can just add the tracking number to those different transactions.
Question from Minecraft. Chris, how do you source toys? I live in England and it seems almost impossible to source worth it toys. I'm doing around £1,000 a month in profit consistently, but expanding further seems impossible.
I mean, what kind of toys?
I don't know. They just say toys.
You have to figure out where people donate their toys and then work out a deal with the people who receive them. And as a new parent, we're donating a lot of toys. Toys that given to us are so many. If you're looking for adult toys, the forums where people collect and sell those is probably a good place to go. I would buy and sell collections if I sold toys.
Um, Mark X Miller says, how do you buy directly from the brand?
Every single season, brands sell their overstock and they work with brokers. So if you find a broker in your area, I would start on Craigslist and look for people selling lots and then network around. You'll find somebody in your area selling Amazon pallets, Costco pallets, Target pallets. There will be a liquidator near you that you can talk to.
Zane had a comment. Hi, Chris. I love your content. I run an eBay store that does £100 in profit a year, but I sell private label products from China. It's completely cut the photography part from it.
That's true. If you're selling replenishable items from China, it's pretty cutthroat, but I did coach one person into that, and we did one replenishable every week for a year. And at the end of the year, you had 52 products. They all ordered from China that we're selling a couple times a day. From my experience, it's not scalable like used because some items will sell like crazy, and some items don't sell at all. So it's kind of hit or miss in the replenishables game. It's a bit different. Our mentorship is more about reselling. I consider items from China retailing. You're selling brand new items that you have more than one of. That's not resale. It's a bit different.
Video Games Explained says, Chris, does having a bigger store give you better wholesale deals?
Yes, because as an example, the distributor for Clove shoes saw me moving the volume that I'm moving, and they sold me even more. So, like, the more volume you have, the better deals you get, and the more people reach out to you. At this point, I can't even accept all of these deals, and I'm really being really picky. Like unless the deal is like insanely good, I'm just passing. And it's different than when I was buying liquidation. It was all mystery boxes. They'll send you 500 pieces, you don't know what's in it. Finally, I graduated out of that. Took about a year, and I spent a couple $1 million actually moving through different inventory. It's been interesting the last year or so working with different liquidators, figuring out what sells and what doesn't. I've literally spent like $2 million in the last year.
Sylvia Hunt says, "Hey Chris, do you obey the eBay prices or did you put the price? Do you think promoted is necessary?"
I don't really look at the eBay prices as much. I do as a reference point, but I'm really concerned with how many of the exact item I have there are, and then I do price buckets. So it's like if it's selling for around $30, I'm gonna price mine at $29.99, and promoted listings is probably around half of your sales when you're really dialed in my opinion. When you're really dialed into whatever your niche is, half your sales will come from promoted. In the beginning, you don't need promoted though because you're still learning how to do it. And any item that is worth selling for $20 profit usually does not need promoted listings. It's the sub $30 stuff that's really competitive. And some people are promoting as high as 40% promoted listings. There's a gentleman in the group that can't get a sale unless he promotes at 40% in his category. That's how competitive it is. So 40% is a lot. That means on a $30 sale, you're paying $12 on top of like a $4 fee. You're paying 16 or $17 on a $30 sale. Can you afford that? So if you don't know your numbers, then don't mess with promoted listings because some categories you need 40% to sell in. Other categories you don't need it at all. We'll
Um,
take three more.
okay. Leaderness Wishes says, "Do you sell international? I don't because if they say they didn't get it, you lose. I tried selling overseas years ago. What a mess."
I sell internationally still, so it's okay. You just gotta abide by seller protection, and it's just like everything. If you are on eBay using the international shipping program, you have a lot more protection, but it's just cost of doing business. More people buy stuff outside of the U.S. than in the U.S., so you're essentially cutting out the majority of the people who can buy your things by eliminating international. Yeah, international companies that ship international control the world. So they said that I don't know if this is true or not. You guys let me know in the comment section that used to be that rulers and kings and monarchs and dictators controlled the world. Now, multinational corporations control the world. So the companies that sell in multiple countries, they basically dictate all politics. I agree with that. If you look at how politics are made, they basically favor multinational companies. So this next wave, right? Is it really us that controls the future? Because let's say all of us here, we don't shop at Best Buy, Target, Walmart anymore. We only shop from each other. I don't know if I'm an evil capitalist or something, but I just don't see how that's possible. Like with these bigger corporations give us a whole, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like it makes everything a lot cheaper when you do economy of scale. Just from looking at my own business, when I sell just one thing, I can operate so much more efficiently. I can afford staff. I can have a building. All the people here can like make a living wage. If I had to just sell a couple of widgets to somebody, I don't know if I would be able to do that. So like I don't know. It's a good question. I feel like if you're not selling international, you're in trouble though because there's so many people outside the U.S. Like right now, I want to start a Japan call in our group because we already have the UK and Australia, and I want to start Germany because we already have the UK. So Germany and Japan, adding those two things to our group would be great because how many people there's like millions of people in Japan and millions of people in Germany doing the same thing as we do. There's a little bit different rules, like with Royal Mail in the UK, their shipping services are different, but Simon was telling me that you can ship anything under a kilogram for under 3 pounds, and that's like really cheap. That's really cheap compared to the U.S. So wherever you are, there's some kind of advantage or disadvantage, and you have to know those.
Let's see. G Stop Studios says, "Hi Chris, love from Santa Rosa, California. A buyer bought 2 items separately with same shipping address. How can you combine the shipping since eBay doesn't allow you to post the same tracking number in 2 shipments?
You could mark as shipped and add the tracking number in there, but it will ding you. So it's hard when international shipping is complicated, but that's how I would do it. And it hopefully doesn't happen too often that it would actually affect your shipping rate. That's how I would do it.
Um,
Well, last question, then we'll come back next week.
okay. Jackie says, I am working now on goal setting. I guess my question is it better to focus on consistency as a goal or trying to set a monetary goal?
Both. So you have to have a eventual goal. I'll give you guys a couple of examples. I want to, in my Poshmark closet, make $1,400 a week. That's the goal, right? I'm thinking in my brain now, how can I consistently list 70 items that are $20 profit into my store forever? That's the consistency part. Because I don't want the $1,400 profit in my Poshmark closet to only happen one week. I want it to happen every week forever. I don't think Poshmark's going to go away. It's going to be here forever. So I'm trying to think of systems. So I'm already thinking one person coming in, listing 70 items a day, or 70 items a week for me. I don't even know if I need that. It's like, it's 4 hours of work. I don't know if I can hire somebody for 4 hours. But anyway, the consistency and overall goal go hand in hand. You need both. You figure out your goal and then you figure out the systems to produce that goal every single week. The last example for that is I want to be 190 pounds and I started my weight loss journey at 215 pounds. So I'm thinking about things that I can eat forever. I don't care about diets because that's temporary. So I already like the diet that I'm eating. So I just want to eat a little bit less of it, right? And then increase my workout to get there. So now I'm at 209 or 208, maybe in that range. And I started at 215. I just need to continue this track for about 10 weeks and I'll reach that. So for my Poshmark closet to make me $1,400 a week, at most I will need 2,000 shoes. So all I need to do right now is figure out how to source 70 items per week, list 70 items per week, and store 2,000 shoes. So that's the math behind all that. Appreciate you guys. We will see you later. I don't know why my nose itches during live. Only during live. Yeah.
All right. See you guys next week. Bring your questions next
Bye.
week. Bye.